Welcome to Cardinals Cover 2 with Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki. Cardinals Cover 2 is brought to you by Arizona Cardinals Podcasts. Visit azcardinals.com/podcasts. From the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center, here's Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki.
Well, because he loves the spotlight so much, we're going to begin the show with a shout-out to Jermaine Gresham, the Cardinals tight end. Not sure if you saw this, MJ, on Tuesday, but there was a bowling pin in his locker. So, of course, I had to ask. And, well, congratulations to Gresham and his team. They won the 2018 Cardinals Kingpin Challenge on Monday night, though, in all honesty, no help from Gresh. He bowled a 94.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me at like 175,
No,
180.
that's what I was expecting.
He walked in with 6 bowling balls. He's got a curve on his ball.
94.
Reading the arrows. 94?
94.
You can do that left-handed. Now, who was on his team?
That's a good question. I don't know. No idea. He wouldn't say.
Usually you get a fan involved and a couple players. It's really a great event.
Absolutely. I invite everyone to azcardinals.com for some great pictures. There'll be a video up later on this week. And one picture in particular, I know you saw this, but Superfan, Trey Boston, and Josh Rosen.
Yes.
The look on Boston's face looked like he had just met his childhood hero.
Right. And they had a backdrop, so it looks like he was doing an interview with them.
Wow, but the hand was up, the number one hand.
But, I mean, you would have thought
Superfan.
They're teammates.
Trey Boston, Superfan.
Listen, if you don't know Trey Boston, and we're fortunate enough to be in the locker room, and just sometimes on the practice field, he's a funny dude.
Oh, he dances, sings.
Yeah. Plays
little, I don't know what we're calling that, water bottle, empty water bottle, basketball.
Or Gatorade.
Gatorade bucket, yeah.
And I don't know if they're playing for any money. It doesn't seem like it's more for pride.
Oh, yeah.
But
and you can tell who's
Brandon
winning.
Williams is so loud. Boston's so loud. They'll get somebody else to get in there at some point in time. But it's usually those two then. And they're in the corner of the locker room, and they are just so loud.
Yeah, it's a good time had by all. And now let's take off on this Wednesday. By the way, the final show of the week here on Cards Cover 2. We're going to enjoy the bye week, much like the players. And here's what's ahead on the show. 3-4-4-3. We're going to end that debate here today. At least I hope so. Byron Leftwich reflects on his first game as an offensive coordinator, and that discussion will lead us into your exclusive access inside the Arizona Cardinals Film Room, plus your questions via social media using the hashtag CardsCover2, and that's with the number 2 to get involved in the show here on this Wednesday. And, of course, well, not too much news on this day because Coach Wilkes, well, he surprised the team after Tuesday's practice and gave the team a bonus day off. By CBA standards, players must have Thursday through Sunday off, but Coach Wilkes said, you know what? Take Wednesday off as well. And, of course, a huge cheer erupted as they broke it down on Tuesday. So instead of being on the field Tuesday and Wednesday, just Tuesday this week.
Yeah, and I tweeted that out, and, of course, you get some people, and they're like, oh, they don't need any extra time off. And I'm like, listen, it's been a long season. Let them get away and just kind of decompress. And then when they get back here, they do have practice on Monday.
Correct. And then the off day on Tuesday, and you're getting right back into it because it's Kansas City week 10, when the team will play the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. That's going to be a tough matchup to begin with. But the coaches, they'll take some time off as well. This will allow everyone to kind of reset, recharge batteries, and do some self-scouting as well.
Yeah. Now, before we get into the show today, we had our first potluck on the 3rd floor.
What'd you bring?
I brought some hummus and chips. I was asked to bring, anything. I was going to bring some fruit. It was like a brunch.
That was nice.
You brought some candy.
Well, it's Halloween.
I
Happy Halloween to everyone.
So what you don't, you bought extra bags for when you get home tonight?
Oh, no. This is for everyone.
Oh, okay. I got you. Jimmy Alejandro,
our producer over there, didn't get the invite.
Thanks for the invite.
Hey, look.
Hey, we invited Adrian
I
Wilson
didn't organize
up there.
this.
Yeah, I mean, we were newbies, so, and then it was kind of like sitting on your porch. We, in our cubicles, we were able to, have a little party.
Yeah. So like
Darren Urban brought a spaghetti salad.
Yeah, yep.
Cold.
By the way, when the director, Kyle Odegard, comes in, we can make sure we ask him what he brought.
Are you full? Like, are you time for a nap?
No, we got a show to do here.
Let's do it.
We got a show to do and get ahead on what's happening.
Right,
and,
I'm
of course,
ready.
trade deadline on Tuesday. The Cardinals don't make any moves, which was expected, except for maybe the potential, and I know you keep bringing it up, but J.J. Nelson and potentially parting ways with him. But nothing happened, despite all the speculation and the word circulating around internet.
Yeah, and there were some people talking about why didn't they expose, Deon Buchanan. Excuse me. I'm like, right now we're in week 8, right? They're heading into bye week. They get 17 checks, so you divide that by 17. He's still owed $4.5 million, and I think he's found the role on this defense. Now with Boston coming back, it'd be interesting to see how they divvy up the snap count. David Johnson wasn't going to be traded. Patrick Peterson wasn't going to be traded. Hassan Reddick, I think he's found a role. I think he's part of the future. He's a first-round pick. J.J. Nelson, I think they would have listened to offers. Unfortunately, those offers didn't come across. There was some speculation, maybe the Texans, but they went out and got Demaryius Thomas. And then I heard the Raiders were trying to acquire him, maybe for a 7th-round pick. But again, he'll walk in the offseason, and maybe at some point they'll get a compensatory pick in 2020. Patriots didn't make trades.
Chiefs didn't make a trade.
Browns didn't make a trade, considering how active they've been in free agency and throughout the offseason. So it seems like I wish the deadline was even further back to like week 10, so you can find out who the buyers and sellers are. But you could see the Texans feel like we're going all in. The Rams go out and get a pass rusher, something that really haven't been discussed as much as they should have been, losing Robert Quinn, trading him. Brockers is still a good defensive interior lineman. So you could see teams, even the Eagles going out and getting Golden Tate. They got, Nelson Aguilar there, and you throw in Alshon Jeffrey and Zach Ertz. So you could see the teams that are saying, maybe we're one player away, but we're a better football team with Golden Tate on the Eagles roster. So a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors, and it has to work salary cap-wise, and it has to work where usually a lot of these guys are on expiring contracts. So you're basically running a player for 8 weeks, and you hope that you can get to the postseason.
You brought up the Rams trade, Dante Fowler from Jacksonville for a 3rd-round pick in 2019, a 5th-round draft pick in 2020, and, of course, that affects the Cardinals because the Cardinals will play the Rams in Week 16, and that was something that the Rams wanted to do, was upgrade their pass rush.
Yeah, and he's been disappointing. Now, it didn't help that he tore his ACL the first rookie minicamp and non-contact, really, trying to rush the passer, and his knee gave out. But to me, if he's a rotation guy or situational guy, we know that they're going to play with leads, then you could pin his ears back and get after the quarterback, especially when you have Donald the way he's playing, and Sue. He's going to create some one-on-one matchups. So we'll see how effective he is, but he's been disappointing considering where he was drafted.
Cardinals did make a handful of roster moves, signing offensive lineman Colby Gossett, signed from Minnesota's practice squad. They also added tight end John Phillips, a 9-year veteran, to make room on the roster. They released offensive lineman Blaine Clausell and tight end Gabe Holmes, who in just a few moments ago was actually re-added to the practice squad. So Holmes is back in the fold. Also defensive end Vontarius Dora, who played well for the Cardinals in the preseason. He's been signed to the practice squad, and kicker Matt McCrane has been released.
Yeah, I like the Dora signing. Now, he was injured, so the Cardinals reached an injury settlement, and we'll see. I think he's going to be on the practice squad a few weeks, but if an injury occurs there, we know he can play. He really stood out in the preseason, so it's good to bring him back, knowing the system. Phillips, he's really strictly a blocking tight end, and Gresham is known to do that. He's still got to get better in that area. Ricky Seals-Jones, and when Gabe Holmes was on the roster, they're more pass-catching tight ends. So the Cardinals had him in for a workout a couple weeks ago, and they felt it was time to bring him in. So he gets a chance to learn the offense, but expect him to be your blocking tight end, and I would consider him 1 and 1A with Gresham.
You know who's the most excited about the Dora addition? Dave Pasch.
He's got a nickname for him?
Dora the Explorer?
Yeah.
You got to pay attention to the broadcast. He was all over that during the preseason.
Every time they didn't sign Cap Cappy, so
that's true.
Cap Cappy, Mr. August.
Cardinals 18-15 winners on Sunday, still kind of basking in that, their 2nd win of the season. And the Cardinals broadcasting department did something really, really cool after Sunday's win. They call it Winematography.
Today from State Farm Stadium, the Arizona Cardinals look to beat the only team they've beaten this year, the San Francisco 49ers. And former quarterback to now offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich will call plays from the sideline today as the Cardinals and Niners meet here at State Farm Stadium.
Enough is enough, man. All right? Energy and passion. Yeah. And let's finish this damn game.
Can't complain at all, baby. I was born for days like this, baby.
Rosen with a shotgun snap, dropped to his end zone, in trouble, gets hit in the end zone. The ball is free as Rosen tried to get rid of it.
This is a safety by rule due to the loss of down in the end zone.
Rosen, who's in the gun, has the football, drops back to throw. It's a wide receiver screen to the left to David Johnson, caught at the 25, far side 20, gets the first down at the 15-yard line and tackled at the 14. Phil Dawson ready, Andy Lee to hold, snap, and the kick is perfect. The Cardinals lead it 3-2.
Yeah, baby.
Shotgun snap, Beathard back to throw, pass over the middle, caught Goodwin, first down and more at the 40, far side 30. Goodwin is gone, 10-5, touchdown. 12-3 San Francisco, 6:22 to go in the third quarter.
Get home, beat your man, beat somebody, make a play.
Snap to Beathard, and it's a quarterback draw. He's at the 5, he's hit by Buffet at the 2 and taken down. Touchdown saving tackle at the 2-yard line to force the Niners to bring on the field goal unit.
We score right here, we're gonna win it. After we score, we winning this one.
Shotgun snap to Rosen, drops back to throw, looks middle, fires in the end zone, caught, touchdown Fitz! And the Cardinals are back in the ball game with 11:06 to play.
The legend, hey, the legend at work.
Cardinals look like they're going to blitz. Here they come. Beathard back to pass, gets hit, and he's sacked. Buda Baker and Rodney Gunter team up on the sack. Cardinals down 15-10, 2 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Arizona with one timeout left. Shotgun snap to Josh Rosen, 3-step drop. Throws over the middle, Fitzgerald up high, makes the catch as he gets clocked by Jimmy Ward. Rosen's got the ball, drops back to pass. Throws middle of the field in the end zone, Kirk. He's in, touchdown! Rookie to take the lead with 34 seconds to go. The Cardinals are going to go for 2. Snap to Rosen, throwing left to Fitz, caught at the 1. He's hit there, but he bounces off a tackler and gets in for 2 points.
Larry Fitzgerald spiked the football.
7 seconds left. Shotgun snap over the head of Beathard. He hoists it far side, incomplete, and the game is over. The game is over, and the Cardinals win it 18-15.
Wow, what a finish. What a finish.
Very, very impressive. And for those listening to the podcast, go to azcardinals.com for that. It is well worth your time. Very well done by the Cardinals broadcasting department. As we join you here on this Wednesday, it's Cards Cover 2. Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki. Watch live on azcardinals.com/live video or find us on YouTube. Just search Cards Cover 2. And, of course, if you ever miss an episode, download as a podcast via Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, or TuneIn. All right, MJ, one last time, and let's address it, and then I think we can put the topic to bed. It's one of your favorite topics here in 2018, and that is the Cardinals switch from a 3-4 defense a year ago to a 4-3 defense this year. On Sunday, the Cardinals used their base defense with Josh Bynes, Hassan Reddick, and Dayon Buchanan at linebacker, according to Pro Football Focus, 59% of the time, something that many people have been wondering. Why haven't we seen it? Because if you go through the first 7 games of the season, the defense had 2 or fewer linebackers on the field 95% of the time. And obviously, people look at the results and how well the Cardinals defense played against the 49ers compared to the first meeting and are wondering, okay, well, let's keep that 4-3, and I know you've always been a big proponent of it's more of a 4-2-5 going with 5 DBs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get it. I mean, it seems like Dayon Buchanan's earned some trust from the coaching staff. I don't know if that was the case earlier in the season. He did start the season. They were hoping that he would be able to make the adjustments and pick up the defense and make the calls and get guys lined up. And obviously he wasn't traded, so to me, I would continue to use him. Now, we fast forward to Kansas City after the bye week, and they play a lot of 21 personnel, which is really, a running back, a fullback, a tight end, and then you throw in the receivers. But we know Mahomes can make any throw and every throw, and he's mobile and he can get out of the pocket. He can step up in the pocket. So I don't know if he can use it every week. And if you look at Trey Boston coming back, we know what he means to this defense and how, he knows Steve Wilkes and Al Holcomb defense by playing in Carolina. So, in fairness to the coaching staff, they're trying to get their best players on the field based on matchups. So if teams are going 3 and 4 wide, you rather have Boston out there. You don't want to see Buchanan covering guys down the field. So I understand, but maybe some games will dictate that more, because I do think it had a bearing on the outcome, considering the last time, they're on the field, they give up 195 yards to the Broncos in the rush game, and we knew that game was over at halftime. So I would use it. I just don't know if I would use it every time. It's really based on matchups, and it's going to vary from week to week based on the opponent.
49ers had 267 total yards of offense on Sunday, 107 of those on the ground. So naturally on Monday, the question was asked to Coach Wilkes, will we see more of that base defense?
I don't want to say that that was the difference, because I know that's what you guys trying to, put me in, pigeonhole me to say, okay, all of a sudden now he went back to base, and that was the difference in the game. We did a good job. Again, we wanted to show them something different based off the first game, because we knew they were going to be practicing nickel, and I thought Buchanan did a tremendous job. He played physical, played downhill. Hassan did a good job as well. So it was a good look for us, good change-up, and hopefully we can continue to try to, mix in that package.
A lot of it is based on matchups, and if you want to get your best 11 on the field, I'll say this about Buchanan, and we heard Coach praise him. Pro Football Focus graded him as the second best defender for the Cardinals on the field, next to Budda Baker. So perhaps maybe we do see Buchanan a little bit more.
It was funny because he knew that question was coming.
Absolutely.
He had a little bit of smirk, and you could see it was he knew what he was going to say. I'll disagree a little bit, but again, he's background has been a 3-4 guy, a 4-3 guy, and so they hired a 4-3 coach. So, he'll win that arm wrestling contest, and I respect what he does. It's just a matter of execution, though. We always talk about the offense, executing. One guy missing a block is going to blow up the entire play. A receiver dropping a pass, a tight end missing a block. So it's really down to execution. So maybe the best of both worlds is, again, it's very unpredictable. We don't know if they're going to pass or run. Each quarterback has a check with me where you can get out of any certain play and call it based on the defense. So, but I would like to see both. I would like to see them put more emphasis on stopping the run, getting the team off on third down, and then when you have to, get your best players on the field, including Boston, because Rudy Ford wasn't ready. He was inconsistent. Pleasant did play. He's more of a depth guy like Hodges is now. So to me, get your players on the field and put them in position to make plays.
Execution, that's something that defensive coordinator Al Holcomb brought up on Tuesday. He was asked directly, is there a difference between a 3-4 and a 4-3 when defending the run?
No. Because it's still gap sound. Every man still has a gap. The run fits are exactly the same. It's exactly the same run fits. It's just different people doing them. And the truth is we just did a better job up front this week in terms of understanding what we were doing, staying in our creases, penetrating, coming off the ball, and then allowing our linebackers to flow.
So I would guess you think too much is being made of the fact that you guys were better against the run when you played more of a base 4-3.
Yeah, I do. I think there was more familiarity with the scheme the second time through. I think our players are getting it. Each and every day they're getting better at understanding exactly what we're asking them to do and some of the expectations and the standards that we have on defense. I think that's really it. The run fits are the same.
It's tongue-in-cheek, a little stubborn on both sides, but again, it comes down to execution. They've been very successful in the past, referring to Wilkes and Holcomb, when it comes to a 4-3 defense. Now, granted, the Cardinals don't have a Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson on there, or even a guy like Thomas Davis, who's a seasoned veteran, and he's got fresh legs because he was suspended for the first 4 games this year. So their conviction is it can work. It's just a matter of guys have to buy in. Holcomb told us a few weeks ago, and I never heard this before, if the two defensive tackles are not doing their job, that's when teams are able to get to the edge. So he said, just pay attention to the defensive tackles. Now, obviously, Kemdichi had a mental error last week, led to a long run play. Peters wasn't in the game.
And they still defended well.
And they still defended well.
That was an encouraging sign.
So that's encouraging when it comes to Gunter, Kemdichi, Pierre, and if they want to use Mayowa inside to bounce out a little bit. And then you got to give the linebackers credit because they were able to, the defensive line was able to hold the linemen from the point of attack, and then they were able to come in and shoot the gaps. That's the perfect defense, where your linebackers are roaming from sideline to sideline. They're showing some team speed, and they're able to make tackles at the line of scrimmage. And we got a chance to see that with Marcus Golden. He led the team in tackles versus Antoine Bethea or a guy like Trey Boston or Budda Baker.
Glad you brought up Marcus Golden. 39 snaps on Sunday. He had his first full sack in more than a year, and, well, he was wired up against the 49ers. You can check it out on azcardinals.com and this weekend on In Season in Focus. But right now, a sneak peek. Marcus Golden wired up.
Woo! Marcus Golden is back. Oh, I feel good. I can trust myself. And I get to play with Zach. And I get to play with Benson. And I get to play with Hodges. Hey, Jeff. I told you I was feeling like myself this week. I told you. Give me some. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Now that Jeff you hear Marcus Golden screaming at or yelling is Jeff Herndon, the Cardinals assistant trainer. And when you have a significant injury and you're spending a lot of time in the facility when the team is not here, when they're like during a bye week like this week and players are down there working out, well, they become very, very close with that training staff led by head athletic trainer Tom Reed. And it's good to see that their work and Golden recognizing their work and their effort, and all of a sudden you're seeing Marcus Golden, I think, by his own words, perhaps feeling like 2016.
Well, I mean, the fact that
I should say 2017 before the injury.
Yeah, but the fact that he felt that during the week and he was mentioning that to people, that was a moment for Marcus Golden saying, I've come back from this injury. Now, again, it's still 8 games to go, and he's in a contract year, and maybe it's going to be best for both parties to look at a 1-year deal in the offseason. Cardinals want to retain him, but obviously he wants to put up big numbers. But the fact that he's been productive and he led the team in tackles, that is very encouraging, and that was a moment for him to say, you know what, all that hard work I put in, I'm back to what I need to be. Now, again, it is a work in progress, so I don't think he's there yet, but he's definitely inching closer.
Yeah, by the way, Marcus Golden will be guest hosting Thursday night, the Big Red Rage, alongside Paul Calvisi and Ron Wolfley. He'll be filling the shoes of one DJ Humphreys this week, and then they'll get back to their normal programming, if you will, with Humphreys back in the fold the following week. But make sure you catch that on 6 o'clock Thursday night for the Cardinals Big Red Rage with guest host Marcus Golden. That should be a lot of fun, especially because Marcus is not short on words.
No, I mean,
or enthusiasm.
No,
or energy.
And again, we always talk about it. You know, there's a guy that plays with his hair on fire. He brings energy. He's passionate about the game. He loves playing football. He loves being in Arizona. So there's a lot of good things to like about Marcus Golden. You know, he actually goes back to his hometown during the offseason, and he puts on free football camps. And I asked him when I did a Q&A with him on one of the Cardinals magazines on game day. He said because he used to go to these football camps, and, you know, usually a parent would drive you around to these different football camps, and sometimes, you know, they would give you water or Gatorade, and they give you a T-shirt, and, you know, they also wanted $10 or $15. And he said, I want to put free camps on for kids because I want them to be able to learn the technique of football, and maybe they'll pick it up as a young man and going into high school and college and stuff like that. So he likes to give back too, which is really good.
Yeah, very, very good dude, Marcus Golden. Now, if you take a look at what the Cardinals did on offense on Sunday, it was, well, for big picture, it was their best performance of the season. Their 321 yards were a season best. Larry Fitzgerald over 100 yards receiving. David Johnson 100 yards from scrimmage. Everything that we wanted to see. Well, week 1, we had to wait until week 8, but certainly it looked like this offense, and perhaps give some credit, a lot of credit, to offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich, his first time calling plays, and that offense now under his direction.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see more as we go. Now, again, the players are off until Monday. I'm sure the Cardinals have been looking at film. They'll watch the game this week between the Chiefs and the Browns on the road for the Chiefs. We know Arrowhead's a difficult place to play. So, yeah, I mean, we saw more screen passes in week 1 to week 7. We saw 23. We saw 10 in that game. I think they got David in space. As you mentioned, 100 all-purpose yards. He had 16 carries and 4 receptions. And then Larry, he finally went over 100 yards and found the end zone like he has throughout his career. So there's a lot to build on. And I think, just giving Josh a little bit of time to throw the ball. Now, let's be honest, though, the first 3.5 quarters, it didn't go their way. But when the game was on the line, and, I tweeted this out earlier, and when David Johnson went in the medical tent and then he went into the locker room for declare concussion protocol, they had 4 rookies on the field late in the fourth quarter. Rosen, Kirk, Cole, and Edmonds. Edmonds was filling in for David Johnson. And to me, this says a lot about this team with a rookie coordinator who hasn't really called plays in the NFL except for one game. Now, he was obviously a quarterback, so he's been behind that, that double barrel shot-off shotgun, knowing when the pressure's coming. But 4 rookies, you don't normally see that. And I looked at a stat up after going into week 8. So I've been going into last week. The Cardinals rookies have the most snaps when it comes to their draft class. Now, granted, we're only talking 4 guys. They didn't keep Campbell.
But 2 of the more prevalent positions that are handling the ball every single snap.
Yeah, quarterback and then center, and then you throw in Kirk. He's been, I wouldn't say a pleasant surprise, but he's exceeded some expectations in his first year. So that's remarkable, and I think it's one of Steve Keim's better draft. Now the key is stacking another one up next year, considering they may have some high picks in each round.
Yeah, that fourth quarter, the offense may have turned the corner with Rosen under center. And, of course, earlier this week, Leftwich meeting the media asked about the performance overall in those first 3 quarters and whether he second-guessed any of the play calling.
Oh, no, there's no second-guessing. Every time you call one, you think that's the one. And when it's not, the key is that for your guys to keep fighting. And our guys just kept fighting. I mean, you watch the energy, you watch the way the guys was locked in. I mean, you can't ask for no more than that. You can't ask for no more than that. Most of these games in this league come down to the last 2 minutes anyway. So to be put in that situation with a bunch of guys that we have and a bunch of young guys, we gained a lot of experience in that football game. We became a better football team in that football game, especially with all the snaps that our young guys are getting, all the situations that our young guys are in. They're all learning from those situations. The kid can really play. The kid is his demeanor. It allows him to have success. I mean, quarterbacking in this league is hard, and when things go bad, this kid tends to be fine. He's okay in those situations. And, I mean, this kid, like I say, man, he can really play. He can really play, and it's just my job to get him in position to make sure he's doing the right things.
The kid, that would be quarterback Josh Rosen. I wonder if Leftwich calls him that on the field. Hey, kid. I mean, Leftwich is what, 36, 38, 38 years old?
I think so, 38.
And Rosen's 21?
21 going on 35.
It's not really a kid anymore, but
That's what
I understand. I understand what he's talking about.
He becomes a young man.
Yeah, it's.
But you could see, I mean, his job is to see development and to protect Josh Rosen.
Absolutely.
In game 1, they did that.
Absolutely. And certainly that fourth quarter specifically, we saw a lot of that progress. We hope we continue to see throughout the rest of the season. But let's dive a little deeper into that go-ahead score, perhaps one of the better throws made by Josh Rosen. And here's the situation once again, 3rd and goal from the 9, 39 seconds left, and the Cardinals trailing 15-10.
3rd and goal at the 9 with 39 seconds to go, and the Cardinals down 5. 2 men to either side of the formation. Rosen in shotgun. David Johnson back there with him. Rosen's got the ball, drops back to pass. Has time, looking, throws middle of the field to the end zone. Kirk, he got it. He's in. Touchdown. Rookie to take the lead with 34 seconds to go.
Rub the rose, baby. Rub the rose. Christian Kirk in the back of the end zone, and Josh Rosen put it on him, baby.
2 feet in, and he survives a hit by Jimmy Ward as we now go inside the Arizona Cardinals film room with our director. That's basically what he is now referred to.
Writer.
No, he's the director. He's the director of the Cardinals film room and also in charge of paper plates, utensils, and napkins for the potluck on the 3rd floor that
Very
our producer,
versatile.
Jim Omohundra, was not invited to, and we're not going to hear the end of that the rest of the week. But let's look into it. You wrote it on azcardinals.com/film room, looking at that play from Rosen, Kirk, and also DJ Humphrey's perspective.
One of the most interesting things to me is when they were talking post-game about how we had used this play before earlier, and immediately I knew what he was talking about because there was the play in the first half where Christian Kirk got open in the end zone, but there was too much pressure on Josh Rosen, and he had to throw it away, and then the very next play they kicked the field goal. So they went back to that. I think it was pretty important that they actually flipped the formation because Richard Sherman was guarding Kirk the first time. I think if he saw the same play, he would have realized it and been able to tell his teammates what was going on. So they put it on the other side of the formation. Overall, it was interesting to talk to Josh Rosen because he had a good idea of what the defense was going to do before the ball was snapped. And we keep going back to this kid is 21 years old, a rookie, and the fact that he already understood what the defense was doing was very important overall. So they started out, and what he knew was Malcolm Smith, the linebacker, he knew he was going to drop to where Ricky Seals-Jones's route was, and then the cornerback was going to come up. So the key is really the guy in between them, Tyvis Powell, the safety, who was supposed to guard the back of the end zone, but it happened to where he pulled up and went after Ricky Seals-Jones a little bit. And once he took a couple steps up, Josh Rosen realized that and knew that Christian Kirk was going to be able to sneak behind him. And you can watch the play, and Josh Rosen is starting his motion even before Christian Kirk has passed the safety. And he could tell very early on that the safety took too many steps forward, and that was going to work out. So it was very impressive recognition by Josh Rosen to see what the safety did wrong on that play. He said the first read was actually Ricky Seals-Jones, but he knew right away once that safety bit up on Ricky Seals-Jones that Christian Kirk could come behind him and he would find him for the touchdown.
What you do each and every week, it's not always easy to get guys, one, if they're available, and then two, I know you've been talking to Josh a while on these, but I thoroughly enjoy because he is so in-depth. The quote was, "This play shouldn't be open. Ideally, if they were playing this correctly, Powell is the one that messed up." He knows not only his own team's offense, but the opponent's defense as well. And that's the fun part about what you do is you get inside their heads, so to speak, to figure out, okay, what am I looking at? What am I looking for? Okay, now I know what to do. And this is happening all within split seconds.
And once again, we're talking about one specific play when he's throwing the ball 30 to 40 times a game and dissecting it every single time. But yeah, I mean, he was the one that pointed out that, okay, if Powell dropped back into the zone where Christian Kirk went, like he should have, then the pass was going to go to Ricky Seals-Jones. He was going to try to fit it in between the linebacker and the cornerback. He said it's a bang-bang play. You try to fit it in there quick. Sometimes the cornerback will get there and break it up, but if you can throw it perfect, then it's a touchdown. But that's when he knew the safety moved up a little bit, and then he said, okay, Ricky Seals-Jones isn't the option anymore. I'm going to Christian, and he nailed it.
Now, also got good protection. He was able to kind of move around, shuffle left and right before he was able to make the throw. Now, when you said that they ran that play earlier, but they flipped the formation, is that more coaching or is that something Rosen was able to see and they had a discussion on the sidelines?
Yeah, Christian Kirk said that they talked about it after the play didn't work, but they looked at it on the Surface, of the Microsoft Surface tablet, and saw that Christian Kirk was open. I'm not sure exactly who decided to flip it. I'd assume it was Byron, knowing that.
That's impressive.
Let's not do the exact same look because then the defensive backs are going to see it. The fact that they did it on the other side and that Sherman always stays on the right side of the coverage, knowing you're going to the left, that means that Sherman's not going to be involved and you're picking on some guys that haven't seen it before. So I'm guessing that maybe it was a group discussion, but at the end of the day, Byron being the OC is probably the guy that said, hey, let's turn this and run the exact same play from the other side.
I just had a flashback. Super Bowl.
You know what? I thought the same thing, but I wasn't going to bring it up.
Now, after Larry scores, Dockett did have Roethlisberger in the grass, but he wasn't able to bring him down, even though Doc did have 3 sacks in that game. Roethlisberger did the same. He threw the ball to Antonio Brown to the left and then came back and did the same play to the right. And they reviewed it, and we can debate if he had both toes in, but that was the same, very similar. And that makes sense. So if you see something, you may not do it the next play, but obviously the Steelers were trying to win the Super Bowl with a completion there in the end zone. But that's, to me, is Leftwich sees something, the players see something, and then all of a sudden it's a collection to where it's effective, and they score a touchdown out of it. That's encouraging to me.
And I asked Christian Kirk about that. If you see a play that works, or even if it, like the first time it was incomplete, but they saw that the design was effective, how much do you talk about that on the sidelines? He said that's all the time. If something works, we want to go back to it. Maybe you switch it up a little bit, but if you figure out a way to manipulate the defense like that and know it's going to be successful, he said it's very common to go back to those plays in the course of a game.
Kyle, well, we got to give him another title, Guru. This is Guru stuff right here.
I'm just spitting out what these guys are telling me.
But you're able to recognize the play, and then you get the info, the 4-1-1, and then obviously for us and the listeners and the fans, they get a chance to see it, frame by frame to how this actually works, where everyone thinks just line up and throw the ball. No, there's more to it.
And like you said, with the protection, the San Francisco defensive line did a stunt where the defensive end went inside, and they brought DeForest Buckner back out to the outside.
And that's where Humphreys?
Yeah, which is not easy sometimes on offensive linemen if they don't realize what's coming. Humphreys said that in third down situations and key situations, they do a lot of stunts. So that goes back to game planning during the week, where he had it in his mind that they might try doing a stunt against me. He alertly did a good job of pushing that defensive end and then still getting out and knowing that Buckner was going to come around. Because if you see Josh Rosen, he kind of fades to his left a little bit.
Then
DJ had to do a good job of keeping that guy off him, because he was looking for Christian and he was naturally fading toward that side of the pocket. And DJ said, yeah, I saw him out of my peripheral vision. I knew I just had to keep pushing Buckner around, and really good job with the pocket, because that play did take a little bit of time to develop.
Humphreys also made sure to mention that offensive linemen are in better shape than defensive linemen, because they play the entire game, whereas D linemen rotate. He made sure to make that point very clear to you.
I think next time I talk to a defensive lineman, they might argue something different, but hey, they are out there every single play. It can't be easy being that big and playing every single time, but I think it was noticeable that the 49ers pass rush wasn't as effective in the second half, especially in that fourth quarter when you put together 3 straight impressive drives. You kind of slow them down, they get tired, and that allowed Rosen to be effective.
All right, Kyle, let's talk about the loaded question, because the offense passed the eye test. We saw more screens. We saw David get 100 yards on 20 touches. We saw Larry get over 100 yards, including a touchdown in the end zone, along with Christian Kirk. Now, we know it's based on personnel, and when the other team comes out with a running back and a fullback and a tight end, that's 21 personnel for everyone out there. And we know that Boston has been a guy that's played a ton of snaps because he can play close to the line of scrimmage. He can guard a tight end off the line of scrimmage. He can tackle a running back or a fullback in the open field. But Buchanan did play well. So I know it's based on opponents, down and distance. But do you think we're going to see more of the 4-3, or is it still going to be a combination based on opponent, down and distance, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, I think even going back to last year when it was a 3-4 and this wasn't the big discussion, they still played nickel about, I think, 70% of the time. The NFL is going that way, and when there's 3 receivers, it's hard to play a base defense against that. So I think it's going to be majority nickel still, but when you're in 1st and 10, they went nickel a lot in the past. It wouldn't surprise me if Buchanan is on the field on first downs or in run situations, because he did play well, like you said. You want to reward him for something like that.
And that tells me the staff is starting to trust him more.
Right. I think that was definitely his best game. I mean, we can talk about him being a first-round pick and the things he's done in the past, but he did struggle a little bit in the beginning of the season, so you can understand the coaching staff's trepidation.
Yeah.
But now I think it's going to be a mixture. I don't think they're going to play that much base defense in this game because of who you're playing.
Yes.
But I think he's also deserved the chance to be out there more than he was the previous few weeks.
Totally agree.
azcardinals.com/film room for more of
Guru.
Kyle's work. And before we continue, I do want to give you credit for your deep dive that was posted today on azcardinals.com. You brought up Richard Sherman going away from him on this specific go-ahead score, but the Cardinals actually targeted Sherman more than any other time that he has been targeted this season. The numbers were unbelievable. Targeted 7 times, 4 completions, 3 in the second half for 81 yards with all 4 passes going for first downs. Now, the first 7 weeks or 5 games that Sherman played, you wrote, he allowed 3 completions on 12 attempts for 61 yards and 2 first downs. So that, you even though he's advanced as far as number of years in this league, Sherman does still have that reputation, but the Cardinals weren't afraid to throw his direction.
And he's still playing really well. You watched the tape, and he gave up a few plays, but the 37-yarder to Fitz, he was all over him.
Great
really
throw.
Nice play by Fitz and by Josh Rosen. But I think, yeah, it says something about Josh Rosen that he's not scared to throw at a Richard Sherman, and that's a good sign because every cornerback, no matter how good you are, there might be plays where you get beaten, and you want to make sure that you're going through your progressions and you see it if it happens. So it's not like the Cardinals just skipped over whoever was going against Richard Sherman. If Josh Rosen thought that was the best play, he was willing to make the throw, and it worked out well. You don't want to force it against an elite cornerback, but I think he made some good decisions, and it obviously it turned out nicely for them.
One more time, let's go back to the play involving the director that dissected it for the Arizona Cardinals Film Room, this time courtesy of the Arizona Cardinals Spanish broadcast.
Paciente en la bolsa, lanzar completo. Rayo láser a las manos del novato Christian Kirk. Balazo de 9 yardas. Touchdown. Arizona. Christian Kirk. El balazo de Josh Rosen.
Gabriel Trio on the Arizona Cardinals Spanish broadcast. The go-ahead touchdown as the Cardinals beat the 49ers on Sunday 18-15. We have invited Kyle to stick around here on Cards Cover 2 as we do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 p.m. from the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center. Although this Friday, with the team heading into their bye weekend, well, no show this Friday as well. But
bye week for you guys too.
Yeah, it's a nice reward. As Coach gave the team Wednesday off, we're not going to do a show on Friday.
Very smart, veteran moves.
Unless MJ wants to stick in here with a studio by himself and just talk for a little while.
Start talking. No, I'll save it for Monday's show.
There you go.
Cardinals 2-6. Let's find out what the Bird Gang is sounding off using the hashtag CardsCover2, and that's with the number 2 to get involved in the show. We'll start with Instagram, and I'll go this direction for you, Kyle. How's Justin Pugh looking with that injury and potentially being able to play after the bye week?
Yeah, Steve Wilkes said that he expects him back against the Chiefs, but with that hand injury, he's had the cast on. I mean, I think it's a big question as to how effective he can be. It sounds like it was more pain tolerance early on, and he just couldn't do it. Maybe the pain has gone down, but you still wonder, is he able to grab guys? I mean, you have to use your hands so much as an offensive lineman. So early on in that game, I think if he is able to play and he does start, it's definitely something to watch.
You know, Mike Upati's coming back. Obviously, he's been dealing with some nagging injuries, but, Wetzel's a guy that can play 4 different positions. You normally don't see a guard that tall, but he's got, he's able to hold up at the point of attack. So it'd be interesting to see if they look at Pugh and go, well, you know what? We're not afraid to put Wetzel in there. Just like Andre Smith, he's played better than I thought, and Wetzel's done a good job filling in for him too.
Pugh was on the field on Tuesday for the short amount of time the Cardinals were on the field, so that's encouraging. Also from Instagram, user wants to know, why don't we grab another wide receiver? And of course, MJ, we got the Dez Bryant topic once again.
Yeah, well, Dez is still on the street for a reason. If you watch him the last couple of years, doesn't get separation. He's probably not a great locker room guy, and you could tell when he breaks the huddle, he has no interest or zero interest in blocking.
How about this? The number of wide receivers that were traded prior to the deadline, those teams very easily could have gone out and signed Des Bryant without any draft pick compensation.
Demaryius Thomas, I mean, he's scheduled to make $14 million next year. I think it's a team option, so we'll see if they redo that. Golden Tate's a free agent after this year. Obviously, they needed some help on offense. So there's different reasons why teams do that. The Cardinals have worked out wide receivers. I still think they would like to bring Kendall Wright back. And listen, I'm sure they are hoping somebody would call for J.J. Nelson. Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
And the encouraging thing for the Cardinals, Kyle, is the fact that we actually saw Larry Fitzgerald targeted several times. And now if you get him going and Christian Kirk, then all of a sudden that third receiver, fourth receiver, you can kind of mix and match whether it's a wide receiver, whether it's David Johnson or a tight end.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a legitimate question where you would love to upgrade at wide receiver because after Fitz and Kirk, there has been a lot of uncertainty and nobody's totally stepped up. But at this point in the season, there's not much available free agent-wise. I mean, there's not a guy sitting out there that's going to be a difference maker for you. So, but yeah, I mean, if Fitz plays well, if Kirk plays well, and like you said, then David Johnson and Ricky Seals-Jones are maybe your other options, and between those four, you have some pretty good targets.
Last question from Twitter. The user is @Cardinals_31. Put your thinking caps on, gentlemen. Since it's Halloween, which Cardinals players would you cast as which horror film characters and why?
All right, I'll jump in here. I would go Freddy Krueger for Darnell Dockett. He was scary. Adrian Wilson, probably Hannibal Lecter.
Well, Wolfley called him that. We were told prior to the
A-Dub,
show
I hope
that,
you're not listening.
Hey, if Ron Wolfley calls you Hannibal Lecter, then I think it's already out there, so it's not us. If you have a problem, talk to the other guy who wore 24 before you wore 24.
Yeah, and you notice they haven't given out a 24 yet.
Yeah. What came to my mind was Robert Kimdichie. I don't know what
Frankenstein.
Some sort. I mean, I feel like
he looks it, but then when you talk to him and get close to him, he's got that smile and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah, but he can get into character. He's an actor, and I mean, you put some makeup on. We'll have to figure out exactly what character, but you get him dressed up. I think he could be a pretty good horror figure.
I would agree with that.
I'll add, since we started the show with a shout out to Jermaine Gresham, I'm going to throw Gresham under the bus here. Freddy Krueger, because on the field,
he likes to mix it up.
In game, that's one guy you don't want to be around.
Yeah.
Off the field, great guy.
Just mild-mannered.
Absolutely. Jokes, loves talking to the media. I mean, he talks to the media all the time.
I mean, we still haven't got him on the show yet. And he's got some parameters.
He'll talk as long as there's no camera, as long as there's no recorder in front of him.
Yeah, he's a great guy,
absolutely.
But once you turn on, he just runs away from you.
No mic, please.
Right, but he wants to come on here like he's on Howard Stern and stop dropping some F-bombs or something. We can't do that. It's a family show.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Exactly. Love
making demands that can't be met.
Gentlemen, appreciate
it.
Kyle, great work as always on the Film Room. azcardinals.com/film room for more of that. We'll have to figure out something for Kyle to dissect this weekend so we can bring him on next Wednesday.
Dissect our potluck.
I'll take a week off.
There we go. Behind the scenes, special thanks to Tim Delaney, Jim Alejandro, Devin Henry, Jeremy Schnell, plus Grant Greeley, Jonathan Hayward, Brandon Nadis, Jesse Aranda, and Jackson Sipes. For Kyle Odegard, Mike Jurecki, I'm Craig Grialou. We'll talk to you on Monday. Remember, no show Friday. Everyone enjoy your weekend. This has been Cards Cover 2.